So you've gotten your hands on a Baroque Oboe. Now what? There's a lot of different paths that I've seen people take to get to the point where they feel like they want to learn how to play this thing, at least well enough to have fun and so that other people can enjoy it. But of all the different pre-qualifications, I think the best one that you can have is some decent modern oboe skills. So if you are or have been an orchestral oboe geek, if you spend a lot of time playing in orchestras, or you spend your youth playing in youth orchestras and high school band and so forth, and you consider yourself a serious oboist, this video is for you. The good news is that if you can basically play this instrument, you should be able to learn how to play this one pretty quickly. That's the good news. Now, the bad news. There are some skills that you do not currently have that you're going to have to purposefully go out and acquire. The other bit of bad news is that all these skills that you already have, as I said, there's no guarantee that you will instinctively put them all in the right order for this instrument. So in this video, I'm going to try to go through the specific skills that you're going to need to pick up, because if we know what we're working on, it's a lot easier to actually make progress on that front. And at the same time, I'm gonna let you know how your existing skills are going to apply to this instrument. And everything that I tell you now is, first of all, the way that I teach at the Juilliard School. I've been fortunate and privileged to teach essentially all the professional Baroque oboists in the United States who are my age or younger. And before that, it's the same approach that I taught for many, many years at Oberlin Conservatory. So let's get started. If you are like most oboists, you cannot wait to start shredding on your favorite Vivaldi concerto or wailing on that beautiful Bach aria that you knew from. I'm going to ask you to please don't do that. Watch this video and try to take in all this stuff. And when you do start playing, try not to go straight for the pieces that you already know and have already played well on this one. There's a couple of reasons for this. But the biggest one is that you're going to want it to sound as good as it did. And by extension, you're going to want this instrument to behave like that one, and it just won't. So please take my advice and hold off until I ask you to play. Number one, how to hold it. It really is the first stumbling block for a lot of people, because we forget just how heavy the oboe got at the beginning of the 20th century compared to everything else that came before it. We need the thumb rest because it's kind of heavy to hold up at a 90-degree angle. A lot of players play a lot. That puts a lot of stress on the thumb. And the way people play tends to put a lot of stress on all kinds of other parts of the body, the neck, the shoulders, from just holding this up. And I've known some extremely accomplished oboists with jobs in the major US orchestras that have had physical issues from just spending hours holding this instrument. So, this is what I'm going to ask you to do. Super easy. Put the oboe on your lap. Pick it up. Feel for those 6 holes with your fingertips. Just feel for them. Feel for the 2 keys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2 keys. I'm going to put it back down. I'm going to pick it up again. 1, 2, 3, 6 holes. Never mind that holes 3 and 4 are twin holes. Forget about that for now. 6 holes, 2 keys. Without having to do this with my pinky, there's the 2 keys. I'm going to put it back down. Pick it up again. I recommend you do something else. Watch TV. Listen to some music. Talk to a friend. Put it back down. Pick it up. Just keep doing this. Keep doing this until you forget that you're doing this. somewhere around the 100th, 200th time you pick it up and you feel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 2 keys, back down, back up. Oh, there they are. No pressure, just holding it, right? You're going to catch yourself with a completely natural hold that is your hold on the instrument, that involves no tensions, where you just pick up the instrument and there they are, 6 holes. I don't need to look at where they are, because, you know, violinists like to look at their fingers. That's a terrible look on oboe. We just know where our fingers are. And there's 2 keys. There we go. Pick it back up. And the idea is that you hold this with like all the simplicity of holding a pencil. If you're not actually writing, there's like no tension at all. It's just sitting there. And the same with this instrument. There it is. Number 2, the fingers. In this last bit, I told you to not squeeze, to just feel where the holes are. Here's something that you might be shocked to hear. You've always squeezed this oboe. I don't care how good your oboe is. I don't care how well maintained it is. I don't care how well it seals, how great your technician is. Those are all great things. However, there's springs. I at least have to put down the springs, right? So any teacher that has wisely told you, or if you caught yourself saying to students, don't squeeze the oboe, just make sure it seals. Kind of, sort of. We're all squeezing this. This instrument requires a little bit of squeezing in addition to holding up this weight. Now, let me demonstrate. There are so many disadvantages, I guess you could call them, to playing the early oboes, that if we do not take the advantages and really grab a hold of them and make them a central part of our strategy, we're just foolish. So here's an advantage to the 2-key oboes. I'm sure you've tested the seal on your oboe. I'm not going to squeeze. I'm just going to put down my fingers right there. Right? So if this was your modern oboe, right? And look at my fingertips. I'm not squeezing like that. They're not turning white. I'm just resting them there. Right? That would be science fiction on this oboe. There's no such thing as suction on any modern oboe that compares to a Baroque oboe. So in playing, you do not need to squeeze the oboe. In fact, you shouldn't. Hold it the way we were holding it on step number 1. Just pick it up, feel, and that is enough to make a perfect seal. All your life we've put down fingers. Now we're just going to pick up fingers. And if you want to convince yourself, do this. Play a forked F and just hold it for a minute or 2. Then put down this finger. You'll realize that this is relaxed, this is an action. So we're going to be picking up fingers and they're just going to come back home. This is home. Number 3, the reed hold. Now, presumably you got a reed that comes with your Baroque oboe. Presumably this was made by a competent player and it's matched to that oboe. If this little chapter doesn't make sense to you, you need to get in touch with me or somebody that studied with me and make the thing behave the way I think it should. Okay, so I'm not going to tell you what a reed looks like because it can look like any number of things, but this is what a reed should do. Okay. First of all, it should make a sound when air goes through it. Before my lips even touched it, it was making sound, right? What I really can't have is a reed that behaves like this. I'm holding it open, but a lot of your reeds, you know what I'm talking about. I can blow air through it and there's no sound until I squeeze down a little bit. Can't deal with that. So just the air has to make it go. Then it has to have a certain range. Now this is true on the modern oboe as well. On every oboe that I play, I'm very clear on what is the ideal range for a reed to have. And for Baroque oboe reeds, it is close to an octave that I can play in just a reed. So on my oboe, that's from E flat to E flat, crows between a B flat and an A. No higher than B flat, no lower than A. Closer to B flat usually. And so I have that range, and the crow is about right here, right? About 2/3 of the way up on the possible range that I can make on just the reed. I'm gonna play down here, okay? So that formula is not exact. If you play an oboe that that takes a different kind of reed, say you play an Eikentoff and takes 57mm reeds, I play 50s, or a Denner that takes even longer reeds, those exact pitches might be different. You're still going to want, or even if you have a two-piece setup where you're using modern Novo d'Amour or English horn reeds that go on top of a little vocal kind of thing, it still applies. You need almost an octave of range just on the reed. The crow should be about 2/3 of the way up, and we're going to play it down here. So, for me, the formula is, that's E flat at A415, half a step lower than your piano. That's kind of the standard Baroque pitch. I can barely get up there, but... And everything I play will be on that G, towards the lower end of that available range. Keep checking yourself. In the early stages, it's really important. You're going to creep up. You are going to play sharp. You're going to hold the reed and try to play the oboe there instead of there. But you're going to squeeze your throat. You're going to do all kinds of terrible things. So keep reminding yourself. Below the crow is where we play. We're not playing yet. I'm playing, just to demonstrate. Number 4. Breathing. You know what my breath support is when I play the oboe? It's really trying to exhale, that's all. So, in normal life, we go around inhaling and exhaling without even noticing. So there's 3 things happening with the oboe. Number 1, it's a wind instrument. We need wind to make it go. Oxygen. We need oxygen to stay alive. See, your body turns air into carbon dioxide really quickly, uses up the oxygen. Carbon dioxide is a poison, and your body is desperate to get rid of it. And these are the things that have to get balanced. So I never take very big breaths, even when I'm playing very long-winded stuff, because having a whole lung full of carbon dioxide makes you hyperventilate. It makes your heart rate goes up. There's no way to stop that. It's a very basic human process. Your brain feels like you're holding on to toxic gas. You might die if you don't do something about this. So, first thing I'm going to do, weaponize my natural exhale. Here's me exhaling. Here's me exhaling against a small opening. Here's me exhaling into a closed opening. That feels much better than holding my breath and not exhaling. And that's the real enemy. That's the way a lot of people play the oboe. I've seen very advanced, successful players that are holding their breath. So the first thing I do is relax. Now, there's an order to this. Inhale, seal. I was just exhaling against the seal, but with my mouth open. So where's the seal? It's right here, right behind my teeth. Ta, ta. It's the tongue position that we use when we say the letter T or the letter D, which are the same letter. Remember that. T and D are our front seal. If you ever get into double tonguing, you're gonna ga. ka, ga, ka, ga, ka is making a seal in the back. Same thing. We're only going to be dealing with the front now. So inhale, seal, exhale. Notice how everything relaxed. Now when I move my tongue, the sound happens. I'm going to warn you about something. Fata, fata, fata. I hear that out of like all kinds of players, even some relatively advanced ones. Where does that come from? I mean, that is a symptom of doing the right things, but in the wrong order. Inhale, exhale, seal, open the seal. No. Inhale, seal, exhale, open the seal. And the wind just fills the oboe without me doing anything about it. Right? The average note doesn't require any more than that. If I wanted to play longer, I would have to start squeezing my gut to keep up the same amount of pressure. Different story. What I want is for the articulation, the moment where the sound starts, to be a moment of relaxation, not a moment of anxiety. Now, my life's work on the Baroque oboe could be boiled down to trying to make it play rhetorically as well as lyrically. Now, what do I mean? Lyrical is, well, what we all learned. We were all taught to sing on the instrument, sing uninterrupted, smooth streams of sound that we worked really hard at. And it imitates a particular kind of singing, the singing we usually hear in classical music, in opera. That's kind of been our goal. Okay, so I'm going to propose another goal, which is to imitate not that kind of singing, but also to imitate speaking. And so all notes or groups of notes under a slur are going to be analogous to syllables. And just like in French or Italian, the main languages of Baroque music, or German, or even English, syllables come in pairs and in complex relationships. And so what I want you to work on is these two patterns. Today, 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 like the word today. That is an iambic pair, if you remember from scanning poetry and stuff like that. Or the other one, this is the beat, I'm tapping with my foot. I'm not insisting, I'm not accenting one, I'm not making one longer than the other. It has nothing to do with that, you can. It has to do with the intrinsic relationship between them, so that nothing comes between today or Teddy. Today, today, today. Teddy, Teddy, Teddy. Until they are absolutely clear, one or the other, just like with words. Okay, so I haven't asked you to play the oboe yet. We've finally come to this pass. And if your reed complies to my parameters or those of anybody that studied with me, or anybody who's on the same page as me, then we are ready for the next step. We're going to test. I'm going to play a D, and I'm going to lift these three fingers. That interval between my longest fingering D and my shortest fingering C should sound like a real whole step. If that C sounded awful sharp, probably means that the reed is in too far. Baroque reeds are non-standardized, and they usually have thread around the bottom so you can adjust the insertion point. It should fit tightly, like on a modern oboe reed well, but there's not one definite endpoint, right? So if by contrast, I got this, that C seemed terribly flat compared to the D. That means that my reed is out too far. Now, if we got it so that I go ta, ta. Now I'm going to go ta, to, and move to an A. If all those notes related to each other, the whole step, the third, the fourth, all those, then we're in business. If those don't line up, you have an issue, check with somebody. The D and the C and the A all have to get along without doing much at all. And that tells me that the whole scale of the instrument is going to be workable. Number 7, mouth shapes. Okay, so you're probably wondering why I went ta, ta, to. Oh, okay. This is a concept that I used to refer to as sympathetic resonance, which sounds a little pompous, but this is the gist of it. I think that when we're playing a reed, the sound is not just going into the oboe, it is also going into our mouth, resonating inside our mouth, and then coming back out through the reed. So the shape of our mouth is actually a part of our instrument. And I firmly believe that higher notes require a smaller resonating chamber and lower notes require a deeper one. And so I've come up with kind of this system where all the notes at the bottom are tu. This stays the same, this stays the same, everything stays the same. But instead of ta, I go. So you can tell just from the sound of the wind exiting my mouth, that's a low note, that's a high note. So I go tu, 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 to, 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 ta, 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 ta. It's across the break there. Te, te, te. D, D, D. This is the same, this is the same. I'm going T, T, T instead of tu, tu, tu. Now, it is as important for me to have the right mouth shape for the note that I'm playing as it is for me to have the right fingers down. That's how that's how we do it. Make the mouth shape match the fingers. No biting, no squeezing it out.
If you're playing with your throat in this position, the playing is kind of gonna sound like that.
Whereas if you're playing with your throat in this position, you're gonna sound like an actor on a stage, and that's what we want. All right, we are actually playing now. But where are all the notes? Okay, let's go through the notes on the Baroque oboe. We have 25 pitches. We're responsible for all of them. There's no notes that are harder than others. There are combinations that are trickier than others. There are combinations that you've never done before. So let's just go through the fingerings on the Baroque oboe. First of all, low C, just like on modern oboe. Low C sharp. No, just kidding. There is no low C sharp on a Baroque oboe. I mean, I could cover those holes. No, there's no low C sharp. After that, we got them all. So here we go. D, just like on modern oboe. E flat, just like on modern oboe. E, just like on modern oboe. F, just like modern oboe, forked fingering. Some oboes like to have the key, just like some modern oboes. F sharp. We'll deal with that one a little bit later. For now, figure out how to open just the half hole. There can be this, there can be other things involved, but the key thing is figure out how that half hole works. More about that later. F sharp is the bone of contention. Don't let it slow you down right now. Just understand that it's going to be the last note that you have a handle on. G, just like modern oboe. Hi, Mom. A flat, once again, or G sharp, once again, it's a half step note. That's a half hole right there. Don't worry, we'll address the half hole issue later. A, just like on modern oboe. Between, oh, there's a B flat, right? That one's different. 1 and 3. Sometimes we add other things in the bottom, but 1 and 3. B, just like on modern oboe. C is different. If you've ever played a recorder, you know this fingering. Just the second hole. C sharp, just like on modern oboe. This same key that made the low C before, now it's a C sharp. This can cover a half hole. It can be wide open. Depends on you, depends on your reed, depends on your oboe. The D, same thing. Just like modern oboe. I played it completely open. I can have the half hole up here. Doesn't seem to make much difference. For most oboes, for most reeds, for most players, the E flat, a little bit different. So it's going to be just like on modern oboe, but we're going to open this half hole a little bit. The E flat is a little bit pickier than the C sharp and the D in that if you have it open too much, you can squeak it and it squeaks a B instead, which is not a note that you ever want to hear instead of an E flat. That's why the E flat squeak is terrible. So be careful about this. Keep your fingers relaxed. E, same as on modern oboe, but no octave key. No half hole here either. So it's going to be the same as the low E. So what's the difference? Am I squeezing? Am I biting? No. I'm simply going tu or te. That's all. F, same thing. F sharp, again. There's also this, or this, or this, or this. Just understand that F sharp is going to be the last note that you have under your control, but it'll come. G, just like on modern oboe, no octave key. I just go ti, 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 instead of to, to, to. A flat, same thing, half hole. No key, no nothing. Just that half hole right there. Do, di. A, just like on modern oboe. Second octave, no key. I just go D. There it is. Be advised, everybody that starts out in Baroque oboe will either have difficulty producing the second octave G or the second octave A. I don't know why, one or the other. Give yourself a break. If initially it seems a little bit of a mystery how to achieve those notes without biting, tightening or anything, it's just no problem. B flat. It was like this in the lower octave. It's 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, and the E flat key. This whole hand right here. That's what we call a harmonic fingering. You can also do it just like on the lower octave. But get to know this one. B. 1, 3, 4, 5. So that looks like B flat in the lower octave. This is now B natural. B natural. 1, 3, 4, 5. Again, on older fingering charts, you see this as well. Get to know this one. C, high C. 2, 3, 4, 5, E flat key. Don't even try the open high C that you see in 17th century fingering charts. Okay, there's reasons for that. Too long to talk about in this video. So there are combinations. That you haven't done. That you're going to need to learn. Okay, I know, high C sharp. So I put down a half hole, 2, 3, 4. Usually I put down the 6th key, but the one that's non-negotiable is the C key right here. See, so with or without this one, D. Half, 2, 3, C key. Very often with this one as well, number 6, as well as C key. Sometimes 5, which certainly makes it sound lower, but it's possible. Also, the Baroque Oboe was very forgiving about this. I can slur to it from almost anything up there and just keep the E flat key down. However, I don't want to articulate it like that. If I'm tonguing it, it's always with the C key. Okay, fantastic. Now you know all the basic fingerings for the 25 pitches on the Baroque Oboe. Believe me, there's a lot more. But this is good enough for now. But there are a couple of things that I mentioned earlier that you're going to need to find new skills for. And so here we go with number 9, cross fingerings. This is the last cross fingering that's left on the modern oboe, F, right? We still use that 4th F sometimes. Some people avoid it, some people love it, but it's still a part of the instrument. Now, there used to be a lot more cross fingerings on the oboe, and over the course of the 19th century, they all just went away. They were replaced by keys. So, first of all, this one. Right? Then there's this one. So this is the one we know. This is going to be a new one. F sharp to E. That is a new fingering to you. Then we have this one, B flat. New to you, C to B. C to B flat. Those are all new moves that you want to incorporate with a sense of purpose and being careful about not to let it ratchet up the tension. So here's the problem that you will encounter. Most people are afraid to let go of the oboe. So 99% of slop around cross fingerings involves the finger that's going up being laid to the one that's coming down. That kind of stuff. It's always the lifting finger. So this is what I recommend. Do it on purpose, lifting first. So here I'm going to go between C and B. At first there was this ugly non-note in between those two notes. As the action got a little bit tighter, those notes started to come smoothly together. But we're always on that side of this. That's the thing to avoid. So lifting early, lifting early is good. That points the way to the right, relaxed, smooth, perfect shift between notes. If you're lifting late and trying to hang on to the oboe and you're reluctant to lift the finger, not only are you going to get slop, but there is no path from there to proper, what I would call proper technique. And a lot of Baroque oboists carry this burden around with them their whole life. They never figured out the cross fingerings. So set a little alarm. Whenever you hear that cross fingering slop, you know what it is. The lifting finger is late to the finger that's coming down. The other new fingering skill that you're going to have to figure out is these half holes. This is how I do it. And I have to do this for every new instrument. If I get a new Baroque oboe, I'll need to go through this process. If I get another classical oboe or any kind of oboe really that's new to me, I'll have to figure out where exactly that is. So I'll do this. I'm going to play a slow trill. Somewhere in there was the right position. So I'm going to come back. Oh, passed it again. Somewhere in there. Is a reliable, quick, and accurate motion that gets me down on the half hole in a way that I'm going to be able to predict the pitch, that I know where it's going to be. So, unlike the other fingers, which are either down or up, this one has to find just its right spot. And I can't quite feel it except for that indentation, which I feel in one particular spot in my finger. So I know in a tactile way that was going to be right because of the way it felt. I just know that feeling, and it's a slightly different feeling on different oboes, and that's how I'm going to find it. There's my G sharp. So where's my A flat? It's going to be the same place, but I'm going to need to find it from a G or from a B flat. So I'm going to need to get to that same spot that I already found, but from here. Or from here. You just need to find it. And the same for this hole. Same thing. There it is. I know it by feel. Last, finally, number 10, trills. This could be its own video, really. Trills are a part of the larger topic of ornamentation, which we don't have time for. But since trills are the one bit of ornamentation that's in every piece we play, I want to pay a little bit of attention because it is often the worst sounding part of people's performance. Very often, you get to a trill and suddenly the phrasing goes out the window. So, a couple of things to keep in mind in a trill. The important thing is that underneath the trill, we're playing a phrase. So, during the trill, I'm playing the D. Not the E, which would sound like this. Out of tune. Trills are going to sound much better if you're blowing the lower note. Now, having said that, most Baroque oboe trills, for reasons that we don't have time to get into here, start on the upper note. So I'm going to play the upper note. But as soon as I switch to the trill, I'm playing the lower note. Also, a trill is kind of an arrhythmic thing within a rhythmic pattern. And it's just a finger thing. Listen to what happens when I try to play the trill with my wind. As soon as my finger moved faster, so did the wind. Bad. These are separate things. There's phrase in the wind, and there's ornaments in the fingers. And until you get to Italian free ornamentation or Rococo stuff in the style of Quans, that is the rule. My wind did exactly the same thing, even if I added a couple twiddles, right? So the phrase is in the wind, the ornaments are in the fingers, and in fact, very often we are getting softer as the trill accelerates. There's that irregularity that makes it go from something very active with a lot of dissonance to a rest position. All right, so go forth and play and have fun. And I know that you really can't wait to go out and shred on your favorite Zelenka trio that you've already worked on Modern Oboe, or your favorite Vivaldi concerto, or whatever it is. Please try not to. Eventually you will be shredding on whatever you want. But try to start out just getting to know this instrument for its own sake. All of the things that I talked about in this video can shine a light on your modern oboe playing as well. I promise you that nothing that I'm saying now will interfere with your beautiful Philadelphia school technique at all. This will just expand it. And whether you're going to add this to your regular life, or you're just wanting to figure out what is this instrument that all that gorgeous music was written for? You know, what did Handel's players play? What did Bach's players play? What did, you know, Vivaldi's players and Couperin and so on, Mozart, Beethoven's symphonies were played on 2 keys. I'll spare you the differences between that instrument and this one, but it's still a 2-key oboe. So, if any of this is not making sense, your equipment is not behaving according to the parameters that I laid out, get in touch with me. My email contact information is in the description, or any reputable player can help you along. So good luck, have fun.